Namaste, this is Pankaja here from India as a student of Dr Satyajith, and I want to share his guidance in his teaching me about glaucoma in an actual client case here at the Dhanvantari Ayurveda Hospital. You see the board behind me where I will explain the way he guided me how to choose the proper herbs. So how did it start? He would give me several tasks to fulfill, starting with researching on glaucoma from the Western perspective and being able to explain it in 2 minutes, very simplified, to every person. So that was my first task. Then he gave me several readings to do. He gave me the chapter numbers, mainly Sushruta, Samhita, Uttara Tantra. I'm showing it here. And I was supposed to read chapters 4 and chapter 9, which are about the Netra Roga, so eye disorders. And specifically, I was guided to read about the Shuklagata Roga, which are those diseases which affect the white part, like the sclerotic coating, the sclera of the eyes, white part, so that's why Shuklagata. It was going into the Shukla part. Glaucoma was found under Adhimanta, under those. So that is the Ayurvedic term for the glaucoma. So I was able to explain this very simplified, that it is a see how difficult to put it in a short. It is a blockage in the drainage system in the eye. Between the anterior and posterior chamber in the eye, there should be a homeostatic exchange of the fluid, the aqueous fluid in the eye, the humor. And in this case, those drainage system is blocked. The angle is narrowed in the eye, so that's why the fluid can't go into the general circulation, but it increases there. So then the first question, of course, of Dr. Satyajith quizzing me was what is happening from Ayurvedic perspective, right? So I was guided, what kind of a Shroto Dushti is this? Shroto are those channels, and here we are in the finest, smallest channels in the eye. So there is 4 kinds of Shroto Dushti. So again, I had to look up this famous shloka about Shroto Dushti. Now I know it. It is Attipavritti Sangova Siranagranta Yopiva Vimarga Gamanam Chapi Shrota Samdushti Lakshanam. This is Charaka, Vimalasthana 5 chapter. So I only remembered a few of it from my former studies, so now I was made to really look it up and memorize it again. And in this case, we have a situation of both Attipavritti and Sangha mainly. So Sangha, this accumulation, this stagnation of non-flow, right? It is a build-up. So immediately I was thinking it is a kapha related, right? And Attipavritti, it is like increase of the fluid. So more and more is built up. There is an imbalance of the drainage and the new building of liquid. So also important for the short description of glaucoma that there is two sorts of it, the acute and the chronic, so the closed angle glaucoma and the open angle glaucoma. And only the open angle we are supposed to treat. The other one is a true emergency, needs immediate intervention. Okay, so this is the pathophysiology, what is happening. Mainly Attipavritti Sangova, Vimarga Gamanam always happens in these Shrotodushti, so that then the liquids find different ways where to go or build up, because they can't go in their proper anuloma direction, right? So then the third task was to read all chapters 1 to 19 in same Sushruta Uttara Tantra and to find the Chakshusha ingredients for Lekhana Basti. So his plan was to work with a Basti, with enema on this client, very elegant method to heal this client without even touching his eyes. That was a very beautiful statement. So what I understood from it is he wants to reverse the gati, right? So the opposite direction for this client. The buildup is up here in the top of the head, in the top part of the body, and we want to drain it downwards, so anuloman. So then I was supposed to look up the different ways of Virechana, the different specific procedures. There are 4 of them, you must remember. It's anuloman, it's samshrana, pedana, and rechana. To see which one we need here and which one to make the choice of our herbs even more specific. So I had to read those chapters 1 to 19. I honestly could not finish it until he then quizzed me again, so I just had to jump in. This is what often will happen. You won't find like one list of chakshushya, means basically benefiting the eye, so specific eye-related herbs. But you will find it spread all over in the text, in different chapters. And it's not always called netra or eye, so you cannot easily sometimes search for it with a machine, but you really have to read and see what you find. Right? So then there is different ready-made lists available on the internet, so my other students, they shared with me, so I looked up those lists because I wanted to shorten the reading. It was not helpful, it was not at all the herbs that Dr. Satyajith finally decided to use. So then once I found herbs, I was supposed to look them up in the Dravaguna and Vijnana. And this is a real Bible, so you'll find all the rasa, virya, vipaka, and the different actions of the herbs. It's a very beautiful book. And then once you found them, you make a table, and this table you see right here behind me, as written by Dr. Satyajith. So first the name of the herb, then the rasa, then the guna, virya, vipaka, prabhav, if there is any, and then the specific action, the karma, the gunas of the herb. So that was my task. When then I was quizzed, I was not all ready, so I could do the explanation of the glaucoma. I was guided through the Shruto Dushti and understood why he wants to use these Lekhanabasti in this case. It is also, as he explained to me, a kapha and vata related disorder. So the buildup of the fluid and the vata, which is not allowing the proper flow. Disturbance on both. Generally, eye is mainly related to pitta, the alochaka pitta in the eye, so we have to count this in. But in this case of this client, there was no pitta vritti at all. Another task was that he gave me the client file to read all the question and answers that the client had to fill before coming. And this is the largest file I've ever seen, 30 pages. And by reading this file, I was supposed to guess what is the client's prakriti. So what is his natural state by the answers he gave in this questionnaire. So each symptom, each description I was mapping with Vata, Pitta, Kapha to see what is the most. I found Kapha and Vata, but actually he is Vata, Kapha predominant. Vata first, then Kapha. The Vikriti here is Kapha first, Vata secondary. This order is very important. Okay. So then we started making the list. The first herb that was coming to mind was Punarnava. So it was first one here in the list. The rasa is Madhura Tikta Kashaya. You find this in this book. Gunas are Laghu and Ruksha. The virya is Ushna, Vipaka, Katu. We have no prabhav. And as a doshic effect, it is Kapha Vata Hara, very important, Kapha first, Kapha Vata Hara, and it is Shota Hara. So it is very specific to the problem that we face here with this client. So that's why this is the first herb of choice. And then he said, wonderful, now we have the first herb, now you just find others matching and balancing out this. Because it's very important that in every formula, the formula is balanced in itself, right? So you don't want like all the same rasa, virya, vipaka and all the same actions, then it could be very imbalancing to the system again. So there must be a focus, which we want here, and you will see we have it. I just named the 4 herbs now. Punarnava first, then Yasti Madhu, then Shatapushpa, and then Aranda Mula, right? So the first and the last one are working quite similar. They are both Kapha Vata Hara. So that's how he explained those two are the main herbs, and I saw it like a bridging in between them, the other two, right? So as Punarnava has more Lagu Guna, Shatapushpa also has a Lagu Guna. I learned that this Shatapushpa is specifically helping for digesting the herb. Dipan Pachan, and also very brilliant choice because it is a Chakshusha herb, so it is very specific to eye disorders. I did not know this herb, it's totally new to me. It also has the Lagu quality, so we need some guru to balance this out, and the guru we will find in the Yasti Madhu, which is a very beautiful Rasayana even, and it is tridoshic, so tridosha hara, and it is also very specific to the eye. With Punarnava we also target the liver, which is also a concern in this client. First of all, there is a relation between Alochaka Pitta in the eye and the Ranchaka Pitta in the liver, so we have to count this in. And also this client has slightly elevated cholesterols, and I think some liver markers are elevated. I would have to verify. So that's why important to think about liver, and this is covered by Punarnava as well. So Shatapushpa is the third herb, the more digestive helping herb, and it is Vata Kapha Hara, so now the other way around. And Eranda finally is Snigdha. So Eranda will give the smoothness that is needed. This is also Kapha Vata Hara, same as Punarnava. And as a specific action, it is Rechana. So this is this Virechana effect that we need, one of those four. And Virechana is, let me look that up, liquefying both the digested and undigested mala and expelling out. So that is very important. And liquefying, so again, targeting this topic of fluids, too much fluid here, and we want to pull it down with Rechana, with Aranda, Mula, Kashayam. So all these will be cooked in a decoction together for the Basti. Basti will be given in a certain order. I don't know if you can see it here. It says A-N, A-N, A-N. So Ananana. It's for 8 days. That's a yoga Basti sequence of 8 days. You always start with or especially when the patient is in a Vakriti, Vata Vakriti, you start with Anuvasana, with the oily Basti, and then you give Niroha. This will have those 4 herbs in a certain decoctions. 2 of them will be given as a Kashaya, 2 of them will be given as a Kalka, as a paste. Very important difference is which herb works best in which form of procedure and how they are boiled together. So on the second day, 4th day, 1, 2, 3, 4, 6th day, you will give the Niroha Basti to the client, and on the other days you will give Anuvasana, the oily Basti, and you end with 2 Anuvasana Basti in this case, because specifically Dr. Satyajith explained, because he is a Vata Kapha Prakriti person, so we want to make sure to balance out the Vata at the end of the treatment. Okay, so that was the explanations for the herbs. There's much more to say about it. Maybe important one more. The Viryas, the temperature effect in the body, it is mainly Ushna. 3 out of 4 are Ushna. Only the Yasti Madhu has the cooling effect, right? So we want more Ushna because both Kapha and Vata are cold or cool. But we want one herb to balance out the whole formula. So this is very beautiful treatment plan. So then the treatment plan was explained here, and I was supposed to make a daily schedule for the client, like from waking up, what is he supposed to do, starting with pranayama in the morning, only Anulom Vilom, very gentle Anulom Vilom, no other yoga is exercise, no vyayama, no exercise. I was asking about walking, and Dr. Satyajith answered no, only rest is required now. So that's very important. Then Abhyanga, Sarvanga Abhyanga and Sweda will be given. I think it will be given with Triphala Taila. Not sure. I think it was the choice was Triphala Taila, and the Sweda with plain hot water. And then followed by the basti, depending whether it's Anuvasana basti or Niruha basti, it will be given before or after lunch. So this must be considered. No breakfast, only some lagu ahara as a breakfast like fruit juices. And then after the basti, there will be rest. We give music for the client to relax with, like the Vayu Stuti or the rain melody in this case. And the client is supposed to rest on the bed with a little elevated with a pillow, so that it won't increase his kapha, and even if he falls asleep, which is not recommended, but in this case it may happen. So he will rest in the afternoon, and then after the early dinner, he will perform trataka. So this is a specific additional therapy, gazing into a ghee flame, which will again additionally help to drain out excess fluid from his eyes. By staring at this flame, trying to suppress the blinking, the effect is that the excess fluid is drained out, and it also strengthens the eye muscles. So I was supposed to do a short video on trataka to give to the client so that he can see easily how it is performed, and of course he will have a therapist there who will help him with it. It's important to do it in the evening after all the tasks are fulfilled, so that he can be blindfolded after the trataka and go asleep with the blindfold for the utmost benefit of it. So this was most of the guidance in this client case. Before starting the whole therapy, always Dipan Pachan is done. So Dr. Satyajith had started that Dipan Pachan already on a distance before the client even arrived. And then after he arrived here, after seeing his Nadi Pariksham, doing the complete blood picture and sending him to an ophthalmologist for the IOP, for the actual intraocular eye pressure, which, as you know, it increases in the glaucoma. The pressure increases and starts damaging the optic nerve. That is very important. And this already started happening with this client. So after all these exams are being done, and especially the Nadi Pariksham, together with the manual Nadi Pariksham and also the Veda pulse that Dr. Satyajith uses and explains, then only it is decided when the treatment can start. And in this case, Dr. Satyajith decided not to give Virachan, but to treat the client first with, now let me find it, it is a certain Thara, I think Tanya Amla Thara, so pouring certain fermented hot substances over the full body for 3 days is a great ama pachan that is done often for people after traveling or in high levels of ama, followed by another lepa paste on the body where the person sits with it for a certain time, and then after that takes a hot shower. So these measurements are being done for 3 days right now before the client even starts with this beautiful treatment plan, Chakshusha, Herb, Lekana Basti, Sarvanga, Abhyanga, Sweda, and Trataka. So thank you. This is an example of the teachings with Dr. Satyajith, and it is extremely eye-opening and demanding, and very clear and beautiful guidance to everyone. Specifically, every client is a unique talent and has his unique weaknesses. So Dr. Satyajith will have all this in mind, the way how he guides you specifically, and in a group also. Namaste.